Considering the addition and subtraction of two vectors, we are going to consider two vectors which are what? Let's say we are going to consider vector A and vector B. So what our interest to be will be, when we add two vectors, what are we going to arrive at? Are they commutative, or they are what? Are they not commutative? That should be the question you should ask yourself. Now let's consider vector A. Let's say we have vector A to be equal to AXI plus AYJ plus what? AZ what? K. Remember, what we have here is our magnitude, and what we have here is the what? Direction. Am I communicating? Let's say we have another vector B to be BXI plus BYJ plus what? BZK. What will be the addition of these two vectors? Remember, we want to talk about addition of vectors. Now, we want to consider A plus B. What will be A plus B, right? Now, A plus B here will simply be, what are you seeing here? I. What are you seeing here? I. So we are adding those two vectors with what? The same direction, or the same what? Unit vector. Am I communicating? So basically, A plus B will simply be what? AXI plus what? BXI plus AYJ plus what? BYJ plus AZ what? K plus what? BZ what? K, right? So what are you seeing? We can see like terms. We can see what? Like terms. And what are the like terms? The unit vector here. So what we have here can simply be written as what? AX plus what? BXI plus AY plus what? BYJ plus AZ plus what? BZK. Am I communicating? So when we are adding two vectors, what are we doing? We are picking AX plus what? BX. We add them together. AY plus what? BY. We add them together. And what? AZ plus what? BZ. We add them together. Now, I asked a question. Addition of vector, are they commutative, or what? Are they not commutative? That should be a question that should run to your mind. Commutative property means if you have 2 plus 3, this is what? 5. 3 plus what? 2, this is what? 5. This is telling you that this is what? A commutative property. Because if you have 2 plus 3 and you switch 3 to the first time, to the first side, and you now have 3 plus 2, it is what? The same value. That is to tell you that what you have here can also be written as bx plus what? Ax of I plus by plus what? Ay of what? J plus what? bz plus az of k. This is the same thing as what you have here. So basically, the value you are going to have here is the same value with what you are going to have here, considering those parameters are what? The same. Are we together? Now let's talk about subtraction of two vectors. There's no need to really go deep into subtraction of two vectors, because what we have here, what we want to look out for is, are they commutative? That should be the question. So if you are considering subtraction of two vectors, put it down. So basically, we want to talk about the subtraction of two vectors. But the first thing that you should note is, when you are subtracting two vectors, are those vectors commutative? And we already know what commutative property is, right? Now, if we know what commutative property is and we want to consider subtraction, simply if you do 2 minus 3, this is giving you what? Minus 1, right? Now, what is 3 minus 2? 3 minus 2 is what? 1. Now you can see that they are not commutative because the value you are getting here is not the same value you are getting here. Okay, let's use another value. Let's say you have 3 minus 4, or basically 3 minus let's say 3 minus 5. Yes, 3 minus 5. This is equal to what? Minus 2, right? Now what if you now say 5 minus 3? This is simply what? 2. You can see that the value you have here is not the same value you have here. So basically what are you saying? This property, your subtraction of two vectors is not what? Commutative. So what you have here is what? Not commutative. Take down. Subtraction of two vectors is not commutative, but addition of two vectors, it is what? Commutative. So these are your exam questions. You might be asked, if two vectors A and B are adding, they are adding together, like they're adding themselves together, are the particular vectors, are these vectors commutative or not? So it's just like a subjective question that will be given to you, and you'll be having a blank space to fill in if the vector is what? Commutative, or the vector is what? Not commutative. I've told you that addition of vector, it is what? Commutative. Subtraction of vectors, it is what? Not commutative. Am I communicating? Now, if we want to rephrase this, we want to represent this the way we had, the way you want to represent your subtraction of vector, the way we had this here. Look up. What we had there was simply what? A to be what? A vector to be AXI plus AYJ plus what? AZK. We now have B to be equal to BXI plus what? BYJ plus BZ what? K. Now we want to see what is A minus B. What's A minus B? Now A minus B will simply be what? AX minus what? BX all I plus what? AY minus what? BY all what? J plus AZ minus what? BZ all K. Now, this is how you represent this. What if they now ask you, what is now B minus A? B minus A, on the other hand, will simply be equal to BX minus what? AX of I plus BY minus AY of what? J plus BZ minus what? AZ, sorry, of K. Look up. What they are simply telling you is show that A minus B is not equal to what? B minus A. So if they ask you a question like that, what are you simply doing? You are going to represent your question in this form. Representing your question in this form is telling them that, okay, you've gotten A minus B, and you've gotten what? B minus A, and you've seen that this and this, they are not what? Commutative. So what your answer will simply be is what? A minus B is not equal to what? B minus A. Am I communicating? Now let's take some examples. Let's take some examples. Looking at our example simply says what? Show that A minus B is not equal to what? B minus A. I come again. The example shows that what? The example says what? Show that, meaning explain why A minus B is not equal to what? B minus A. Giving your A vector to be 10i 8j minus what? 9k. 22i minus 9j plus what? Plus 4k. So what you simply do is you first consider a minus b before considering what? B minus a. Now let's go into our calculation. Now for you to find a minus b simply tells you that what you have here will simply be equal to 10 minus what? 22. So basically you have 10 minus 22 all in what? I, plus what's the next one? The next one you have is this minus this. So you basically have this to be minus 8, right? Minus 9, and that's for what? J, plus what's the next one? The next one is minus 9. So this will give you minus 9 minus into plus 4, right? And this is for k. Now, how do you go about it? The first thing you do is 10 minus what? 22. So if you punch your calculator, 10 minus 22, that will simply give you what? Minus 12, right? So you have minus 12i here. Now look up. Here you have plus. Let's treat this. Remember, minus times minus is what? Plus. So basically what you have here, this will simply give you what? Plus. So what you are simply punching in your calculator is minus 8 plus what? 9. So if you have minus 8 plus 9, and that will give you what? 1. So 1 multiplied by j here, that will give you what? J. Am I communicating? Now let's move to the next one. Plus, this is having plus here. So what happens is minus 9. Remember what we have here is minus times what? Plus. Minus times plus is minus. So what we have here should be what? Minus, right? So if we have minus here, this is now telling you that minus 9 minus 4. So you simply have minus 9 minus 4, and that will give you what? Minus 13. So what you have here is what? Minus 13. But remember, you have a plus sign here. So what you do is plus multiplied by what? Minus, and that will give you what? Minus. So what you have here is what? Minus what? 13k, right? Now, the next thing is to consider what is b minus a. B minus A is simply telling you what you have here minus what you have here. So this will simply give you what? This is simply telling you I have 22 minus what? 10, right? All of I plus the next one is what? Minus 9 minus into minus what? 8, right? And this is for what? J, plus what's the next one? The next one is telling you that we have 4, right? 4 minus what? Bracket minus 9. And this is for k, the unit vector k. Now let's go into our calculation. Now what you simply have here is what? 22 minus 10. 22 minus 10, that will give you 12. So you have 12 multiplied by I here. This is what? 12i. Now, what's the next one we are seeing? The next one we are seeing is you have minus here and you have minus here. Minus times minus is what? Plus, right? So this will give you plus here. So what are you now asked to find? You're now asked to find minus 9 plus 8. So you have minus 9 plus 8, and that will give you what? Minus 1. So you have minus 1 here. So what happens is your minus 1 multiplied by your addition sign here, and that will give you what? Minus. So you have minus j as well. Now let's go over to the next one. Looking at the next one, this is simply what? 4 minus minus 9, right? So we have 4 minus minus 9. This is plus already. So this is plus. You have minus times what? Minus is what? Plus. So this is plus. So you simply have 4 plus 9. So 4 plus 9, that will give you 13. Am I correct? 4 plus 9, that will give you what? 13. So you have plus sign here. Plus is multiplying plus is what? Plus. So this will be plus 9. Plus what? Sorry, plus 13. So this is plus 13. And that is having a unit vector k. Now look up. The question is show that a minus b is equal to what? B minus A. Now look up. A minus B is telling us we have minus 12 plus what? J minus what? 13. Now look at B minus A. B minus A is telling us we have 12 minus J plus 13. Are they the same? No, they are not the same, because your 12 here is having a minus sign, your 13 here is having a what? A minus sign. But your 12 is having a positive sign here, an invisible positive sign. So if I put it to be in this way, you simply have plus 12I minus J plus what? 13K. And this is showing you that A minus B is not, and it will be never, equal to what? B minus A. So these are some simple questions that they'll be giving to you in your exams, and I hope you smash questions like this.